Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahushua Ba'Shem, Rakakodash. Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video There's a question that I asked chat. I asked chat about the cruel Lord. So the topic of this video would be GMS asks the chat, who is the cruel Lord in Isaiah 19 verse 4. So I put it up, but I didn't read it. I'll just skim through it. Then I'll add a follow-up question. Because in this case, the cruel Lord has to be one man, not the Antichrist. Antichrist is not one man. Anyway, let me do this. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, so this is put up by, I didn't even watch this whole video. It's put up by Friends of the Prophets, entitled WT Man, we know what that means. The WT sees Jacob's trouble, but other camps don't. But we're definitely in the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble, and it's going to get worse out there. Anyway, I'm just going to let this, and I urge you to watch the whole video. I watched up until right about here. So I'm going to definitely, when I get a chance, watch the whole video, may let the rest of the video play. You know what, let me do this. Let me set this up. This is fair use, fair use, fair use. I'm only giving my criticism of this particular video. And this is kind of all over the place. Okay, it says white man sends warning. Everyone's dreaming, seeing visions about Jacob's trouble. Okay, it's put up by Saints of Jersey. See, these are the same. Okay, twins hang out. That's them. These are the twins. They're Hamites. They're straight up Hamites. You know. Anyway, but they do good videos. The Hamitic sisters, twins. Anyway, I'm just gonna let it play. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Then I want to go into Isaiah, the cruel Lord. See what chat has to say about that. Then I'm going to ask if the chat doesn't mention Trump at all. I'm going to say, could this be Donald Trump? So let's go.
Donald Trump will be the last president.
Which we say that we believe that he'll be the last president, meaning his term ends. He came in 2024. He was sworn in. What's the other word? Inaugurated, which goes back. That's what they did to Roman Caesars, or emperors, Roman emperors. They were inaugurated, and he was inaugurated, and we here at GMS, we've been referring to him as one of the Caesars. We strongly believe that he's Nero. When you do a bio, you look up Nero, early life, what he did, and how his life ended. And then you read Well, we know about. We don't got to read up about Trump. We already know Trump. We don't got to read nothing. We're living in the time of Trump. When I say the last president, it either the Most High gonna take this place out before he's out of term, or he dies, or whatever the case may be. Because it could go further. Because he been talking. As soon as he became president, he said, "Look, I'm gonna be president for a third term," which that's not even constitutional. And recently he said, "I'm gonna be president for a fourth term." So we're talking about he is the king of Babylon. He's navigating around these laws. Pretty much you got in Minnesota, Minneapolis. That's martial law right there. You had martial law during the was that Obama? During the Obama term, when he was in office for 2 terms, 8 years. You had the situation in Boston with the 2 Chetnian, I guess that's how you call it, from Chechnya. And that was a big deal. And we believe that was a false flag. So, you know, you got all kind of, that was, I'm sorry, the point that I was getting at, that situation with those 2 Chetnian fellows, what they did was there was a martial law. Everything was locked down. They were telling people to stay in their houses, and the military was going. They would bang on your door, and they can go in your house and check, because they were checking for these guys, see if they hiding in the house, which we know that that's all BS. You know, or we're gonna go from house to house, from door to door. Come on now. But they were actually banging on doors. The governor, which he was a Jake, he didn't do nothing about it. So that situation, that bombing at that marathon, the Boston Marathon, that whole bombing thing. But you know how we think. I'm going to tell you how we think. Everything is suspect to us. Anyway, let me go ahead and let it play.
Trump will have another term. Those are the rumors. But the whispers go deeper. Not just that Trump could be the last president, but that governments themselves may be dissolved.
Meaning there's going to be one government. There's never end to government. That's the word when you look up the word anarchy. Anarchy means without government. And governments always form, because you need laws and you need order. People just can't do what the hell they want to do.
What comes after is already on the table. They call it post-nation governance. The systems we live in are being stress tested, and what comes next will feel wild, but it's already underway. Something doesn't add up. Governments around the world aren't just failing at random. It looks too orchestrated.
And that's what we've been saying. All these major events, you call them black swan events, it looks staged. There's too many things happening back to back, really simultaneously. I believe that this storm, they said this is some news people say, or somebody said it, that this is the worst storm. This is going to be the worst storm in the history of, keeping records. As far as weather is concerned, they said it's going to be. Some of them say, "Oh, this is similar to the one in 2006 in New York or whatever." But some of them are actually saying that this you can't compare this storm to any other. So we're gonna have to wait and see. I've been through storms. I'm from New York. When they get a major snowstorm, that it snows for a straight day or 2 days. The last major storm, it snowed for 2 days straight, hard. and I had a 4x4 at that time, but it was still buried, so I had to dig halfway through. But I I used a 4x4 and it got me out. If it was regular, rear wheel or front wheel, I would not be able to get there. I would have to wait another day or so. But so we're used to that. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. And like I said, I believe that's they have a weather modification system. That's their magic. That's their magic.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel.
You can clearly see that these are two Hamites. The way you can clearly see that they might be Jake my foot. Them are two Hamites.
In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right. So guys, we came across a white creator on TikTok, and what he says is gonna be sending chills down your spine.
Right.
Why am I saying this? He's gonna be sending a very strong warning to Americans, and not just Americans, but
the focus is on America. Everything that's happening is because of America. The whole world is seeing what America's going to do next, what Nero's going to do next. Let me go ahead and check the silver price. Oh, it's getting up there. It's getting up there. Come on now. Okay, staying steady at 103. Give me a second here. And I told y'all to get silver. Told y'all. That's real money. Okay, let's come on back. Over here.
that he's gonna be talking about why the world is looking the way it is, starting with America.
Right, so does his words spell conspiracy theory, or do you think he is on to something? Let's watch this video and then we come back and talk about it. You can definitely let us know what you think about the episode, and also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel. But let's watch and listen carefully. Something doesn't add up. Governments around the world aren't just failing at random. It looks too orchestrated. And if that's the case, then this is dangerous info. I mean, look around. Energy grids collapsing, food systems stumbling, parliaments in constant deadlock. Leaders suddenly look incapable of solving even basic problems.
Right, exactly. Shit is happening. So wait a minute, this shit happened? You mean to tell me they weren't up on this? The fires in LA. The major fires all over the place. And they realized that when the firemen came to get water, there was no water. You know, it's amateur night. But the average person don't see it. They don't see it coming along. We're in the time of Jacob's trouble, right? Like the title says. But other camps don't. I believe they do. They can see it. They better see it. They'll be stupid if they don't.
That's not just bad luck. That's stagecraft. The elites are trying to abolish governments. The reason why governments around the world look incapable in the past few years, it's not random. Not at all. Fact. In places like the World Economic Forum, the UN's development programs and private think tanks, they are already talking about post-nation governance. A future where borders...
Let me go ahead and look. He's going to mention 50-minute cities, which goes with the mark of the beast. He's going to have 50-minute cities. I'm sorry, I don't want to look that up. Let me just play it. Let me just pull that back. Forgive me, y'all.
World Economic Forum, the UN's development programs, and private think tanks, they are already talking about post-nation governance.
Post-nation governance meaning. Including results for post-nation or post-national governance refers to a shift where political authority, decision-making, and economic processes move beyond the traditional sovereign nation-state to global. That's why we say the whole planet will be chipped. It's not going to be the United States. That people in the United States had to be chipped. So people say, no, I'm leaving the country. It's going to be the whole planet. Regional, i.g. EU. Right, that's what is that? 28 nations, European nations that make up the EU. NATO is another one. Or non-state entities. Well, you have that with the UN. It signifies that national borders are no longer the primary boundary for addressing issues like trade, climate, or technology. In other words, a one world government. And that's going to lead to the chip. You're going to realize that we were always right about the chip. The technology's already there. It's a matter of getting the people to accept it. Okay, so let me come back over here. Where am I? Okay, here we go.
A future where borders and politicians fade, replaced by algorithmic management. Smart cities run by code, resources distributed.
Let me look up smart cities. Let me see. Smart cities and the Internet of Everything. Smart cities utilize the Internet of Things. They didn't say everything's. The Internet, the IOE, Internet of Everything, means you're gonna get the chip. And I go and I open that up when I do my lessons. Let me go ahead and read this again. I'm gonna leave this up. Matter of fact, I took a snapshot of this, so it's always going to be in my computer. Can the Internet of Everything, meaning microchips in the body? Yes, the Internet of Everything, IOE, can include microchips implanted in the human body, specifically as part of an emerging, more specialized concept called the Internet of Bodies, while the Internet of Things refers to connecting inanimate objects to the Internet. The IOE, the Internet of Everything, takes this further to connect people through what? Microchip implanted in human bodies. So they're telling you straight up now that their plan is to go from IoT, Internet of Things, to IOB, Internet of Bodies, or IOE, Internet of Everything. soon as you get that chip, you're a part of that network. We've been telling y'all that. We've been arguing with ISUPK, IUIC. What are they going to say when it comes to pass? Because it is coming to pass. Thus saith the scriptures. Revelation 13:16 to 18. It's talking about an embargo. Come on. It's talking about sin in all of its forms. And the beast was able to speak. Nate shows you a picture of Caesar Borgia. Then he shows you a clip from the movie, and he was able to speak. Then he showed you a clip from a movie called The Greatest Story Ever Told, starring Max von Sydow. I say it like recall. Max von Sydow. Also, not her. Damn, what is this actor's name? Sidney Poitier. He played the Canaanite. It's supposed to be a Canaanite. He was a Jake that carried the cross when the Lord couldn't carry it. So that's like the best, supposed to be the best Jesus movie out there, you know. Anyway, let's come on back. I'm sorry. Like I said, watch this whole thing. I keep cutting into it.
By digital overseers. AI not just assisting government, but being the government. Now, AI governance in itself isn't evil. It could mean fairness, efficiency, decisions made without human corruption, but only if it was neutral. Open code, public servers, oversight by truth, not profit. But that's not what's being prepared. Right now, the servers belong to corporate giants. The algorithms are written by private labs. Oversight? Nobody. Which means the people would be trading flawed governments for something worse. A control system you can't vote out, can't question, can't even see. Fact. The EU has already passed laws for AI oversight boards. Fact. The UN's 2030 agenda speaks of automated monitoring of resources and populations. Fact. Defense departments are testing predictive governance models as we speak. The collapse of trust in governments isn't an accident. It's a setup. The replacement isn't democracy reborn. It's governance by a machine owned by the same few who hollowed out the old system. Everyone thinks the future is about innovation. AI, smart cities, green energy. But that's the cover story. The real future is about reducing the human surplus without a single bullet fired. And the system that is being built.
And this storm is going to kill. There's going to be people that's going to die in this storm. There's going to be people that's going to want to go out in the car and not listen to local government. They're going to get caught out there. You got homeless people living in cars. What is the government doing for them? You got homeless people living in, you got people living in vans, you got people living in cars. And, you know, you got a car, you put the heat on, and the snow covers everything on the car, including the tailpipe. You die by, you know, the gases that build up in your car.
Makes it look like progress. In the old world, humans were assets. More people meant more labor, more soldiers, more taxpayers. But technology flipped the equation. When automation does the work, people become liabilities. They consume resources and they produce nothing. From a corporate state perspective,
was it Henry Kissinger said he would use the term useless eaters, but he referred to it as countries. Like we got to eliminate, half of the population of the people of India because they're taking up too many resources. Useless eater.
They are dead weight on the balance sheet.
Hands are useless eaters. They're gremlins. They're straight up gremlins. As Hillary Clinton, inside joke, as Hillary said, these super predators, and they got mad at her for saying that. She wasn't lying. She wasn't lying. You got super YNs, they call them. YNs are super predators. So that was the first time a politician told the truth. She said we got to do something back. What was that? 2000. She said we got to do something about these super predators, and that was code for YNs. They serve no purpose but to destroy. They're like Terminators.
Now, what happens to liabilities in any system? They are minimized, quietly, efficiently. You don't announce population reduction. You don't draft policies that say time to eliminate 800 million people. You design the environment so people self-select out of life. First, you control food economics. Make real nutrition a luxury. Flood markets with synthetic hyper-processed calories. Why? Cheap to make, addictive to consume, and lethal over time. Obesity, diabetes, cancers. It's slow-motion euthanasia disguised as personal choice.
He said euthanasia. That means good death. That means, well, they do it in Canada. You can, the doctor says, this is terminal. You got cancer. You got 6 months to live. I know you're in pain. We can give you, pain, a medication for the pain. But we suggest that you kill yourself, and we'll assist you in doing that. And that's already going on in Canada. If you don't believe me, look it up. So they want to get rid of people. Like I said, I believe this storm is man-made. I never heard of such that's going to affect 2/3 of the people of the United States. It says, what is it, 200 million people. The population of this country is 350 million. We're talking 200 million people are going to be affected by this storm.
And then you privatize survival systems. Hospitals, medicine, insurance. Turn health into a product, and when the bill comes and you can't pay, nature takes its course. No violence, no fingerprints. Meanwhile, you flood culture with distractions. War headlines, influencer drama, ideological cage matches, so no one notices the algorithm that decides who thrives and who quietly disappears. People think they are arguing politics, but in reality, they are debating inside the zoo enclosure, while the zookeeper holds the keys to their lifespan.
Yeah, Trump is a zookeeper. He got you locked in. He openly ordered to bring in troops and ICE and all that. They're clearly violating the people's constitutional rights. So who gets blamed for that? Them individually, and the man who said go ahead and do it, who gave them the marching orders. So guess what? The Constitution is no longer here. As Baby Bush said, this is a goddamn piece of paper.
This isn't genocide. It is market-driven selection. A corporate Darwinism where the unprofitable simply phase out. And the punchline, they don't kill you. They invoice you until you die. This is the most profitable extinction in human history. And is happening in slow motion while everyone thinks they are free. If you want to see the future, don't look at science fiction. Look at the small experiments already happening today. Because the systems we live in are being stress tested. And what comes next will feel wild, but it's already underway. We are moving into a world where nations are not only divided by borders, but by information itself. China has the Great Firewall. Russia is building the RUNET. The EU speaks of digital sovereignty. Soon your passport won't just decide where you can travel physically. It will decide what you can know digitally. Whole populations will be sealed into national intranets, and inside those walls, communities will be isolated into algorithmic silos. You can already see it on social media today. What happens in one community never reaches another. And then comes the economy. Central bank digital currencies are already being piloted. Once programmable money replaces cash, every transaction can be limited by category, by location, and even by your carbon footprint. Rationing will not arrive at your door with soldiers. It will arrive with a line of code in your digital wallet. And at the same time, information itself becomes synthetic. Entire leaders or movements may be AI generated and indistinguishable from the real thing.
Yeah, I was watching some of WAIF, World Economic Forum, and will.i.am was on there. He's a professor at a particular college in you can look it up. And he was getting down, man. He was talking about, he was going into AI. He was going into a lot of things. Let's say he knows his shit. He was getting down. I guarantee you can go to YouTube and find it. You know, he was blowing them Edomites, heads off, so to speak. He was talking about if you want to see a performer, you got to go see them live, because you don't know if that performer that you're seeing is an actual AI image. You watch his show and it's a person that doesn't even exist. They just make up a person. So they said there's going to be a time where you want to see the person live to know that it's an actual person and not an AI robot.
AR and AI media will allow two people standing on the same street to see entirely different realities. One sees calm, the other sees chaos. And this isn't fantasy, it's already possible. And protest itself, crowd control is shifting from buttons to behavior. Sound and frequency weapons exist today. Now extend that forward. Emotional dampening at scale. A city where outrage never ignites because the very environment suppresses anger. Punishment shifts from prison to digital exile. You're free to walk the street, but cut off from banking, ID, and transport. Social death replaces physical bars. This is the trajectory. A world digitally and physically fragmented, where communities cannot compare notes.
You know what the icing on the cake is? It's the mark of the beast, the MOTB, the microchip.
Economies run on programmable scarcity, and consensus reality itself is manufactured. None of this is speculation. Each piece is already being tested. The wild future is built one quiet pilot program at a time. So the question isn't whether the future is coming. The question is who writes the rules of it and whether we accept the cage because it looks like safety. Stay close.
And they can let everybody out of prison too because they can chip them. And if they do something wrong, they're gonna have knowledge of anything that they do, and they can just lock them out of the system. But you got to get a chip. The chip is the next big thing. Is the microchip. Some major event's gonna happen where people got to get microchip. We keep telling you that at GMS, you're gonna realize, you're gonna say, "Oh shit, GMS was always right."
Next glimpse is already here. You look at the West and you think we are living the dream. But let me show you the truth with numbers. In Europe, the richest 10% own about 60% of everything. In the United States, the top 1% alone hold almost a third of all wealth. And the bottom half together, they own just 2%. Now look at Africa. The richest 1%, just 1 in 100, own about half of everything. In South Africa, the top 10% control more than 80% of the country's wealth. Do you see the pattern so far? It's not you against us. It's all of us beneath the same pyramid.
That's why you got these Edomites on TikTok and YouTube complaining about prices. You know, I got a wife, I'm working 2 jobs, he's working a job. My son has to work a job, he's 18, I had to get him out of school so he can get a full-time job, and we still can't make ends meet. So, you know, Edomites, they're beginning to feel like Jake.
Yes, there are differences. Here in the West, poverty is hidden behind clean streets and credit cards. People live in houses that belong to the banks, drive cars that belong to finance companies, and buy food on debt.
The thing now is, and Trump came up with this idea, which is a stupid idea, 50-year mortgage. That means you ain't gonna pay it off. They're taking the bill and they're just stretching it out. Now they got I believe it's you can finance a vehicle. You can spread out the debts to 8 years. When you pay that car off, the car's fucking old.
I know it looks like comfort. It isn't, and it's actually control. In Africa, inequality is even more visible. The mansions of the few stand out against the struggles of the many. But the design is the same. A tiny elite holding everything while the majority carry the weight. We are actually more alike than you think. You are told that we are rich, but most of us are drowning in debt, stress, poison, food, and illusions. And we are told you are poor, but your lands are rich, your spirit is strong, and still the same sharks feed on you. So let's be clear. The problem is not that Africans lack or that Westerners have. The problem is that everywhere the wealth of nations is captured by the few, while the many are told stories to keep them divided. So, you think we are your enemy? We were told you are ours. But the truth is actually simpler than that.
Yeah, you know, brothers used to always say, it's going to be a major race war. No, it's going to be more of a class war than anything else. The rich against the middle class is done away with. You got the super rich, then you got the poor. You got a small middle class. That goes back to the ancient world. Pretty much everything is a feudal system. Look that up. Kings, overlords, vassals, which is your middle class, and serfs, which are your bottom shelf slaves. And that's how it's going to be in our kingdom. Our kingdom is going to be a feudal kingdom. Feudal meaning fees. When you read Isaiah 60 about the forces of the Gentiles, also in Isaiah 49, Isaiah 61, the forces of the Gentiles, which is their riches, that's feudalism. They're going to have to work for us.
We are all being lied to. And as long as we believe the lie, the pyramid stands. Right now, multiple regions are in open unrest. Nepal, France, Serbia, Mali, Iran. And they have different contexts, but the signal is the same. Societies have reached their breaking point. Human populations under stress follow a measurable cycle. First, adaptation. People absorb shortages, restrictions, and corruption. But when the perception shifts from temporary measures to permanent hardship, tolerance collapses. And that is the inflection point we are seeing. And once that threshold is crossed, protests emerge not as isolated events, but as collective declarations that the existing trajectory is no longer acceptable. At the same time, power structures are not passive. Crises can be exploited, accelerated, or even manufactured. In Nepal, the social media ban wasn't only a policy error. It was a trigger that activated a combustible population. In France, blockades are fueled not just by anger at government paralysis, but also by competing political forces who benefit from destabilization. In Mali,
the super rich, they got their riches not because they dug ditches and did all this manual labor. They ripped off the masses. This Nero made a lot of these super rich even richer and happier. He's just the front man. He passes laws to make these motherfuckers richer. James chapter 5, one of my favorite scriptures, goes into it. It talks about the rich gathering riches for the last days, but it mentioned gold and silver. Now you're finding out that only the super rich buy gold and silver. A lot of these countries buy gold and silver. China's what's the term? I guess you call it an embargo. They used to trade silver in the open market, but they're holding the silver back. So that causes the prices to go up. And silver's going to go up. It'll hit it should be, from my knowledge of silver and gold, silver gold ratio the silver should be at least $250 an ounce. At least $250 an ounce.
junta's moves to dissolve parties are a calculated attempt to consolidate control, even at the cost of unrest. This is where geopolitics and human behavior converge. The grievances are real, but the ignition points are often managed. Leaders know that collapse can be functional. It resets the board, creates justification for emergency measures, and reshapes the rules of governance. Protest movements become both authentic expressions of discontent and instruments in larger strategic games. So we are looking at the hybrid phenomenon. From the bottom up, populations reacting to the erosion of dignity and resources, and from the top down, systems that tolerate or even encourage disruption in order to pivot a new order. The central question is not whether protests are real or engineered, because they are both. The critical issue is, who harnesses the energy once it erupts? And if captured by entrenched power, the cycle of control tightens. And if it remains with the people, the trajectory shifts.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about.
So yeah, when you listen to that guy, he bring out a lot of good points. But if you notice, he didn't bring out no scriptures. So see, us being in this truth, we're able to see and telegraph where all this is going at. Yeah, this is what they getting ready to do. This is what we're warning you about, okay? There's one world government that's coming, okay? The collapse of all these governments. Remember, Iran allegedly I think it's whatever their dollar is, that's having issues. We having issues. Japan having issues. It's all orchestrated. And guess who was ultimately orchestrated by? It's ultimately orchestrated by Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, because he raised brain.
And it's elite, the multi-billion, not just a billionaire, 2 billion, you lower tier. We're talking about 150 billion, 250 billion. You're talking about the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the Oppenheimers. These super rich, that old money, they trillionaires. They can clean the problem up overnight, but they're not going to. So the ones of you that don't believe we're not in the time, we in the time of Jacob's trouble. It's just going to get worse. We're in the beginning stages. Hey, for years, we've been going into 2nd Ezra 15, 2nd Ezra 16, Daniel 12:1, Jeremiah, 30 verse 7, 2nd Ezra chapter 9. Matter of fact, the whole second Ezra is powerful, both the first and the second. But second gets heavily into them prophecies, man. So if all this is happening, then ultimately, the Lord's gonna come back. That stone that's gonna hit the feet of it, or that statue in Daniel 2, that's the same stone that Ezra saw coming down in that gigantic spaceship. And we're gonna be lifted up in the one ship. The angels are gonna be destroying shit, but the elect is gonna be. We're gonna meet the Lord in the air. But we're gonna be in the same ship that Yahweh Shai is in. We're gonna finally meet Yahweh Shai, provided that we're one of the elect. We finally made it, man. I'll be surprised if we go to 2008. It'll be beautiful if we got out of here in 2026. I meant to say 2028, not 2008. We may be out of here end of 26, maybe the beginning of, or the mid 2027. We're going to be here for a while, but once the chip comes, I don't got to go to the scriptures on the chip. Those precepts that I've mentioned to you, we can go ahead and read, what is it, 2nd Ezra, chapter 15. You already know it. We can go ahead and read that whole thing. You know, sometimes we pick out little cherry pick from that 2nd Ezra. But we in the last days. We definitely in the last days. And this system is not going to go down until the prophecy of the microchip comes to pass. So y'all better, y'all IUIC, ISBK, y'all better get with the program. Y'all better get with the program, because if it comes and you tell your people to take it and they take it, they're going to be destroyed and you're going to be destroyed for not warning them. That's the wolf that cometh. If you're on a watchtower, pursuant to Isaiah 62, was that the fifth, sixth verse, the watchmen which will never hold their peace. Oh, another thing, the watchmen which will never hold their peace day or night, meaning there's no breaks in this thing. No fucking breaks in this thing. Let's say you got to go out of town. Let's say you're one of your parents is sick and you got to go out there or whatever for some reason. You hop on a plane, you go to another state. Guess what? You can still do videos. So even if you're not in your state, you can do videos wherever you at, wherever you located. This is something, man. Oh, and Jeremiah, I keep mentioning Jeremiah 30, verse 7. You really got to read that whole chapter, because that's a powerful chapter right there. It's really, I think it's 20 plus verses. It's not a long chapter. And then even in that chapter, it mentions briefly about the chariots, the ships. This generation shall not pass until all these things be fulfilled. What has to be fulfilled? The microchipping. That's the last. Once they make this thing mandatory, that means we're gonna be out of here inside of months.
About the end of this man's destruction. So yeah, we're gonna get a few scriptures, Dick, and leave it there. But yeah, this is what they're doing. And if you notice, they're flooding the internet with AI. You see? Why? Why are they doing that? To cause confusion and to control. Look, it's talking about ChatGPT. Being cruel to ChatGPT apparently manipulates the people-pleasing AI into giving more accurate responses. You see that? If you're willing to use uncivil discourse with bots, you see? So you got to be angry. You got to be an angry bot to deal with the chat bot. And see the madness? This man be an angry bot. Being cruel. Look, it's talking about ChatGPT fusion and to why are they doing that? To cause confusion and to control. Look, it's talking about ChatGPT. Being cruel to ChatGPT apparently manipulates the people-pleasing AI into giving more accurate responses. You see that? If you're willing to use uncivil discourse with bots, you see? So you got to be angry. You got to be an angry bot to deal with the chat bot. And see the madness? This man's madness that we're talking about. So we're going to get some scriptures and leave it there, because it's all coming to pass. Okay? This is Isaiah 42 verse 9. This is the NLT. Everything I prophesy has come true, and now will prophesy again. I will tell you the future before it happens. And what are you doing? You're seeing everything that's been prophesied to happen. You're seeing this man lying wonders that are poisoning these people's minds. They can't discern the truth from the falsehood. It's everywhere. They went down and took that bastard sauce. What do you think? You think they ain't gonna take that MOTB when they can't eat? When they can't feed themselves? Of course they gonna take it. All right. This is the KJV. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. You see that? Of course they gonna take it. It's just like in this video. Nobody has been warning the people. Only ones who've been warning the people are the Israelites. And like I said, I believe the elders and the apostles of GMS, I believe they the leaders right now. All right. So yeah, we're gonna get a few more scriptures and leave it there, because these things are coming to pass and there's no stopping it. And people are starting to see it everywhere. Okay, even other six-pack Joes, and he put it out there clearly, because he see it. Okay, I don't know why these other camps can't see it. They see everything else. Okay, and that ultimate lockdown is gonna be that MOTB. Yeah, and these billionaires, these tech AI people, yeah, they're usurping your government now. Everywhere. They're putting this AI everywhere. And remember, if your state is against it, your state don't get no money. You see? So it's going to come a time where all that's going to be obsolete. You're going to have to depend on what you learn from the many Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. And whatever you got, this is what you're going to be with. And pray that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah sustain you through the situations that's coming, because it's becoming very dire real quick. Okay, and that is saying that this storm is taking a turn for the worse. All right, this is Joel 20 verse 23. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn that cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. Okay, that's them ICBMs. All darkness shall be hidden in secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. Job 20 verse 27. The heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. And see, you're starting to see that now. You're hearing other Edomites like this man. He's ready to come against the this beast system. Okay, so yeah, man. But ultimately, it's the Most High coming up against him. He gonna hit him with that ball of steel, which is that ICBM. Okay, so stay prayed up, Jake. I see you again real soon. Call hello, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Shalom.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you this scripture, Wisdom of Solomon 7 verse 8. I knew it was 7. Wasn't sure of the verse. I wasn't sure. Let me just open this up. Let me go to the context. Wisdom of Solomon 7 verse 16. For in his hand are both we and our words, all wisdom also, and knowledge of workmanship. For he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely to know how the world was made and the operation of the elements. Now this is Yahweh Shai talking in the body of King Solomon. So Solomon was a prophet as well, a king / prophet. He spoke about the end of this system, and it's going to tell you that in the 18th verse. And when you read Songs of Solomon, that's all about prophecy. It's at the beginning, ending, and midst of the times. So he showed me the beginning of time when Adam. He showed you the middle of time, his time, King David, and he showed you the end of time. So guess what? Solomon saw people getting chipped. It said the 18th verse again, the beginning, ending, and the midst of the times, the alterations of the turning of the sun and the change of seasons, the circuits of years and the positions of stars. So let me come back over here. I'm sorry. Let me do this. Where are we? Okay, I wanted to go into this a little bit. Let me see. You see if anybody putting up some videos. Yeah, Corey Holcomb, he mushed the woman because she was all up in his face. Gotta watch this. Venezuela's secret. It's not drugs or oil. It's technocracy. So I gotta watch that. Redacted. With Natalie and Clayton Morris. They're teaching them to invest in the kingdom. New global update is Trump trying to replace the UN. And that's something that he would do. He wants to be the king of the world. And the reason why he's still in power, because the people that pull the strings got him in power. He's doing a fantastic job for the tiny tops. $100, and it's past $100. $100 silver was not the only milestone for the money of gentlemen this past week. They got old big head Anton Daniels. Everybody waking up to him. Anyway, Shalom, on to the next. Oh, Trump measles outbreak goes viral. You know, everything goes well when Trump is in office, Nero. But there's a measles outbreak. Or there's a big fire in the Bronx. If you know the Bronx, I believe that was around the Eastchester area of the Bronx, section of the Bronx. Anyway, Shalom. On to the next. Shalom.